knows everything. And
Here
they
you go. 10 signs you have an apple addiction.
anyway,
Man,
so the
I don't
senior
know.
planet thing, they meet on Tuesdays, every Tuesday and every Thursday. They
Wow.
and I can put the link. I gotta find the link. I can put the link in chat.
That'd be great. And at the end of the
What?
conclusion of this thing, I'll look up those links. The last time I clicked on links while we were in progress, I couldn't get back to the program. I could hear George and others, but I couldn't get the video back. So I'm not going to click on anything until we're both done. Thank you.
Sure, I'm gonna, because sometimes I gotta make sure I'm giving you about 3 times a year, they have a special link because of the holidays. But so I gotta make sure that the one I'm giving you is the main one. And I gotta look that up for a second here. And they meet for an hour and a half via Zoom every Tuesday and Thursday. I can't remember the times, but I'll tell you in a minute. Let's see. Okay.
Well, George, for no conversation earlier, we're getting started, aren't we?
Estoy on it. How's everyone doing today? That good, huh? David, your audio is a little garbled.
My audio is what? Nothing?
It's garbled.
Normal. Is it still not good?
It sounds like you're underwater.
David, I assume that that's real behind you, not one of those pictures that you can overlay. Because I think you're trying to make us feel bad.
All right, how's that?
Much better.
Okay.
As I was saying before, good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a good March so far. It's always a weird month for me. It's St. Patrick's Day. I'm half Irish. Don't drink it. I'm not keen on green, so not a good Irish. All right, well, let's get started today. What we're working on today is just going to be some general questions from the membership, and then we'll open up for general Q&A at the end. Anybody has some problems or questions they want to go through, we can do that. As always, our steering committee is responsible for the direction of our club. If you are interested in hearing about something, let one of us know. If you have some ideas and some complaints, compliments, pass them along. This is the group of people that will work at getting those things to happen, to make the club exactly what you want it to be, and we're all want it to be. And this is a community sharing information. If you have something that you do on your device that you want to talk about, feel free to let one of us know. We'll set you up to do a presentation. You're not keen on being a presenter, but you still want to talk about it. I'm sure one of us would be more than happy to do the presentation of your information for you. Either way, please let one of us know. Always looking for good ideas for presentations. A couple months back, somebody popped me an email and said, "Hey, we want to talk more about, I want to know what all this people are about focusing. So I think there's a presentation about focus to kind of let people know. Because we don't know what everybody uses most of their devices. So pass it along to us and we'll work on that. But if you have a question in any way, that one of us know, Matt Nizio, Matt, how you doing? Where you go? Matt was here earlier. He'll be back. David Day,
I'm here. Can you hear
Terry,
me?
Terry Morrows,
Morning.
Ed Sheeran,
Here.
Gian Sparks,
Here.
I'm George Wagner, and Bob Wilkerson. Bob, I think that was the top there. So, all righty. Here's the place we'll just get right into. Oh, let's get rid of that slide. Okay. So the first question that was sent in to us was talking about a Facebook post they had seen, talking about the turning on and off the discoverability journal app. And the one you know, is this real? Is it search and follow the directions and turn off the discovery list? The Facebook post is not accurate. It's basically claiming everybody's paranoia. That's something that isn't anything weird about. This is a very limited ability of a journaling app to basically, if you are doing something with somebody else at a certain location, it can happen. If they're in your contacts, they can, the journaling app can detect that and kind of prompt you to write something like, hey, what are you and John doing? There's a link on the page here for a Snopes article that talks about this fake Facebook post and taking more information on that. But if you ever have a question on those type of things, in addition to checking with someone, Kevin or David or Terry or myself, you can check out Snopes, check out some of the Apple related sites. If it's an issue, trust me, you will see something about it. Snopes is great for debunking things because there's so much misinformation out there and a lot of knee-jerk reactions and people panicking. They're going to basically look into those things and tell you whether it's something to worry about or not. Has anybody else seen this alert?
Yeah, I saw it the day it came out and immediately went and looked into it. And I don't know, George, maybe I didn't hear you summarize what you're saying. I assume, this is somebody that says, I don't want anybody to know where I am. Well, I can understand that, but I think there are people like myself. I don't mind people knowing where I am. And so this didn't bother me. I haven't changed anything on my system. I don't plan to.
And the thing is, Apple is very concerned about privacy and security.
Absolutely. And rightfully so.
Yeah, this information is stored in your secure enclave on your device. That secure enclave is a portion of the security chip, the processor chip, that does not save anywhere. It's not in your backup. It's not in the cloud. It's not anywhere. It's only in that device, in that secure enclave. What that means is, if you restore your phone, all that information is gone. It has to rebuild that privacy and trends and information about where you go, what you do. Those things that are for your convenience. For example, if you go to a meeting every Tuesday, well, Tuesday, maybe an hour before the meeting, you'll get a prompt, hey, you want directions to this location where the meeting is. You didn't prompt, you may have put an alert in your calendar, but you didn't prompt it to ask for directions. You would have just had to do that normally. Because you've done this enough times, it sees a trend and stores that information. So it basically makes it easy for you to get where you want to go quicker and with less clicks. But if you were to restore your phone, all that information would be wiped out and would have to start building that all over again. There's a very fine fine balance between convenience and privacy. Apple's been walking a tightrope. Occasionally they may slip one side or the other. But when they do, and it's brought to their attention, they will address it and take care of it in a responsible manner. The other side of the coin are the companies who make money from doing this type of thing, tracking your location, who you're with, so that they can sell that to marketers or whatever other purposes they may have. As a side note, a vast virus and malware checking apparently has been tracking private information in the privacy apps to the point where a judge had to basically order them to stop doing that. This to me is a big breach of trust. So that's one app that I would no longer be recommending to people for virus and malware, just because they were doing it consciously. If they had to be ordered by a judge to stop doing it, this is not a oops type of thing. So
If you are sharing your location with some specific person, does this cancel that?
no, this is something that this is strictly for the journaling app.
Only for journaling. Okay, thank you.
And here's the thing: if you don't want your location to be shared, if you tracked it all, you turn location services off. If you turn location services off, this point is moot because you have no location to share. That's at the top of the food chain. You turn location services off, none of these other options can even be turned on because you have no location for them to use. Okay. Now, if you don't mind location for certain things, you turn it on, then you can go on a item by item basis and say, yes, I want my location for this, I don't want my location for that. Every device, every app has to ask the first time it's installed, can I access your location? Okay. Once you've answered that question, yes or no, at that point, it's not going to ask again. If you were to change that, you need to go into the privacy settings and say, okay, I want to turn off that for this or turn on that for this. But no app can get access to that without you having said yes at some point. Again, it's an opt-in by design. And as far as the share your location goes, share your location has two options: a one-time use or a time use. The one-time use is where I am right now. Okay. If I move from that location, they don't have that new location. They have where I was. They have the location where I was when I sent it. If I say, okay, allow them to track me, you can put the time that I leave as an hour, a day, or indefinitely. That basically, if I'm moving, it's tracking my movement. So, for example, if you're at a park with the family and you want like an amusement park, you can turn that on so that they can see where you are in the park and meet up with you and say, oh, they're going over there. I'm going to meet them. Where are they? You can see them if you've given them the time you're in. If you say, here I am, and then you move, they're not here anymore. So you're always going to be having trouble with them. So it depends on what you have. If you're waiting for somebody, you send them once, here I am, come meet me, you're good. If you are in a situation where you want them to be able to know where you are at any given time for that given period of time, then you can turn that on. For parents, a lot of times having the location for their kids turned on an indefinite basis is very handy. That way they can see where the kids are during the day. Kids may not like that.
Well,
that's an internal problem.
I think before you change any of this, I would have encouraged people to get a good understanding of what it really is. And it's the software accessing a GPS location that's stored by the equipment, by whatever piece of gear you're using. So it's a tool. And you know, if you understand you're using the tool, that's the thing I guess that I don't like, and I agree with you, George. This seems to have brought a tool to the fore that we didn't know was there before. But I think the GPS locating services are excellent for geolocation, turning things on when I get to a certain area of the town or where I am, and locating myself for partners. I mean, if something were to happen at my advanced age, I'd like for people to know where the body is. So, you know, I'm being a little facetious, but give it some thought. Be sure that you don't want this. And I can't come up with a good reason. Now, if I were 40 years younger and fooling around, yeah, I think I'd probably want it off. But I'm not. And so it's a moot point.
And keep in mind, each app that asks, ask yourself, why are they asking?
Yeah.
For example, the camera app. Why does the camera app need to know my location? Because it geotags your photos. That's a good reason for it. Okay.
That's right.
Facebook. Why does Facebook want it? Well, Facebook wants it when you post, so it puts location in there. Well, A, do you want that? B, you trust Facebook. My example with Facebook is I was on my way to Ohio. I stopped for gas. While I was pumping gas, I posted something, and my wife at the time texted me and said, "Oh, I see you in Kentucky." I'm like, "How do you know I'm in Kentucky?" Well, the Facebook post said where I was. It posted right on the post. So I turned that off Facebook because I don't really want that, especially when you're not at home. And also you post on Facebook and people say, "Ooh, this person's not home. Let's go to their home and steal some stuff."
There you go.
So it's always good to know, what they're doing with the information. The journal app, basically gives you exactly why they're doing it. If you look at that feature and say, you know what, I don't care about that feature, then you can turn it off. Not going to hurt anything. And general rule of thumb: if in doubt, say no. If it's a problem, it'll make itself apparent, and then you go back in and change that to yes. Well, that was the only question we had sent into us. So let's open the floor up for just general questions. And actually, I'm going to turn off the sharing so we can see people's faces.
For anybody out there, I've got an iPad 5th generation, and it has stopped doing the correct screen orientation. As I turn the iPad, it stays on landscape orientation no matter what direction I'm putting it. Does this indicate that I've got a broken gyro in the thing?
No. It indicates you've turned the rotation off.
There's a lock option.
Yeah, the lock. It's in your controls. The thing you swipe down from the upper right corner,
Yeah.
you'll see a lock. And if it's red or an arrow, if it's red, it means it's not going to rotate. I just was fooling with it the other day because I didn't want it to rotate.
If it's really old, it'll even have a switch on the outside edge of there that you can accidentally lock it there.
Right. Yep. Just handling the iPad. That's happened to me.
Now, also, since it is a sensor that's affected by gravity, that's how it knows what orientation is. If you're holding it flat and you're rotating it, it oftentimes will not work. Tilt it up. So the gravity pulls on that, pull it down, so it knows which way up and which way down.
What do you think, John? Did you check it?
You're muted.
I saw you going for your iPad, and that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I didn't check it because I can't find I can't find controls.
Okay, you're good, Matt.
No, I was gonna say, it depends on, the way the controls work is when you're looking at your iPad, you know, in the upper right corner, you just take your finger and you move it down. And it'll bring things out like the brightness, the volume of things, and
Right.
stuff like that. So that should have,
Start off screen.
And it's got a picture of a lock with a circle around it with an
there we
arrow.
go. That's the control.
That should not be red, right?
Correct.
So tap that button and then see if the rotation comes back.
Thank you. It's fixed.
There you go.
Great.
You don't have to buy another iPad now.
That's
Just save
right.
yourself hundreds of dollars.
Thousands.
Thinking maybe that would be cheaper than getting the damn thing fixed.
Yeah.
You're right.
George, I was muted before. I was making a comment about the journaling. I decided that feature really wasn't for me, so I deleted it. And it brings up the whole topic about stuff on your iPad or your iPhone that you really don't use. You know, it comes loaded with the operating system. There's so many things, and I just get rid of them. I was doing that before I upgraded to more storage for the 99 cents a month for the iCloud. So I was very careful to be within the limits of the freebie. And I got in the habit of simply getting rid of everything I never used. And there's probably more apps that I don't have, you know, than I'm using.
There's a
Man,
little trick that I use. There's an option that says offload unused,
Right.
less used apps.
Right.
You do that, the app gets a little cloud icon next to the
Yeah.
title. Well, that's a quick way of finding those apps you're not using very much.
Right.
So once you get those, go through them and say, is that app that I'm ever going to use? It's a real quick way of finding those apps to delete.
I think it's important to point out, though, that it doesn't have having extra stuff on your equipment doesn't pay. We don't pay the penalty we paid with Mac OS because the app doesn't remain active other than a small portion of the app, which has got status indications and any of the logic that needs to be stored. That gets carried forward, but that's the only thing occupying space. Am I correct, George? That's my understanding of it.
Are you talking about memory or iCloud?
Memory. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. If you're talking about iCloud, this applies to just active storage in the
Yeah.
device.
No, I was
Yeah,
talking about iCloud.
Okay,
As far
I'm
as
sorry.
iCloud goes, the apps themselves aren't going to take up much any space in the iCloud storage, because even the backup doesn't store
Right.
the app, just the data.
Data, right?
Yeah, and your app, because it's something you purchase in the app store, all it really stores in the cloud is where that app was located on your home screen. So that way, if you need to restore it, it knows what app to restore. Pulls that from the app store itself, brings your data from the backup, and puts it in the location that it's stored. So, unless it's a lot of data involved with a particular app that being backed up, it really isn't going to affect your iCloud storage. And the exception to that is some of the apps will give you an option to store data in the cloud. Synchronized with cloud. If that's the case, then those particular apps will be eating up a little bit more space in the cloud. But most of the cloud space is in your photos, mail, and files in the iCloud cloud.
George, do you know of any app that will allow updates or I'm sorry, restoring apps like the one with they had before where you could go in, you could pick an app and just restore that app from your backup. What was the name of that app that Apple did? A lot of people are still using it. Matt, I know, uses it. Anyway, I'll get frustrated when I have a backup that I want to do. Finding it on iCloud is difficult to update just one app or remove or replace just one app. Do you know how to do that from an iCloud backup?
That's the iCloud backup, but the reality is that, again, since that's not stored in the iCloud backup, you can go into the App Store and look at your purchase history. It shows all the apps that you purchased.
Right.
And if you click
No, I-
not on this device, it'll show just the ones that are not already loaded on the device.
Well, okay, I hadn't thought about doing it that way. What was the name? I can't, my old mind doesn't want to come up with this, but it was the thing that everybody uses to back up before iCloud came along. What?
Well, it was
Wait,
actually
talking
it
about the
used to be good.
Yes, what is it? Time Machine. Yeah,
Time machine, yeah.
that was a brilliant interface.
Well, it's still there.
Yeah, but you got to use Time Machine. It doesn't work with iCloud, does it?
It
It
never
never did. No. So in other words, with Time Machine, if I had an email that I thought was gone, that I really would like to cover, and I knew it was there last week, I could go back in Time Machine just to that day and find that exact email and restore it to my current state. And I think that was an incredible, wonderful thing. With iCloud, all I see is a graphical representation of what's stored, and that doesn't do me any good. I got to reload the whole thing, right?
Well, keep in mind the iCloud backup is strictly for iOS devices,
Right.
and they don't use Time Machine.
That's right. Well, okay. And that's why I was
so-
asking if there's another app that would allow you to break apart the iCloud arrangement.
But that's I think because the way Apple does the iOS devices just differently from the Mac, there's not the need for it.
Yeah. Okay. That was obvious, and I should have thought of that.
The big thing with the Time Machine backup or the iCloud backup is it's really designed more for transfer and recovery of the entire device. So, if you get a new device, it makes it easy to set up that new device. If for some reason something is wonky and you have to reformat, restore your iPhone, it gets you back quick and easy.
Thank you,
it's
George.
It's not designed as much for file recovery.
Okay. Thank you.
Time machine is still completely active and functional, is it not?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I believe you'd be told if it was ceasing to back up. I've seen people where they've gotten into a problem and you'll get a message saying you're not being backed up. The last time it was backed up was so-and-so. So you'll know.
Yeah, it'll usually give you a warning after a couple of days, and then they'll keep warning you until the backup is done. The only thing that Apple has gotten rid of, which I'm very disappointed, is the time capsule, which I think was one of God's gifts to backup. Because anytime you have a mobile device or with the laptops, to do a backup, time machine backup, you have to plug in a hard drive. A desktop, that's not a big deal. Plug it in, you forget about it. Backs up. The laptop, you have to remember to plug it in every time you bring the laptop back. You move to the couch, you don't want to have the hard drive hanging off the laptop or sitting on the couch, so you unplug it and leave it behind. And so it does not back up as regularly, and it is often easy for people to forget to plug it back in. Example, I had a cousin, I set her up with a new computer with a time machine backup. About 6 months later, I was there, and she had catastrophic hard drive failure. And then, well, good thing we had that backup. She hadn't plugged it in since I set it up. So 6 months of stuff she did was on.
Yeah.
I still use Time Machine a lot. Well, every day. It backs up my MacBook Pro, and I just love Time Machine, and because I have all my other devices back up to the cloud, but my MacBook Pro, not backing it up to Time Machine is just great. I bought one of those little 7-disc 1 terabyte drives for backup, and it worked flawlessly. SSD, and what I love about Time Machine is that if it fills up the disk, it would delete all the old. It would delete the old one and add the new one. And that's,
Right.
I think that's really neat. And like David said, with Time Machine, you can go back and find any of the files you want.
Yeah, the time capsule with the mobile device is great because once you set it up on the network, anytime you were on your home Wi-Fi network, it could back up.
Yeah.
You didn't have to remember to plug it back in. There are some third-party network drives that will do this. They're not as elegant, but they will do that. My Cloud from Western Digital comes to mind. Some of the wireless routers that are Time Machine compatible will allow you to plug an external hard drive into them and turn them into a time capsule type device. Again, not as elegant as Apple's, but it does work. I said that for a couple of people. If you have a mobile device and you tend to are mobile with you, take it away from the desk often enough, then you might want to look into one of the network attached versions as opposed to a physical hard drive plugged in. Either way, backup is a necessity for just a peace of mind, safety issues that are file gets corrupted, you make some changes you didn't need to make, or in worst case scenario, hard drive fails. So here's the thing. It's not a question of will a hard drive. It's a question of when. And you may be lucky, and that hard drive has never failed while you own them. In way the computer will moved up to the computer before that hard drive failed. But eventually, every hard drive will fail. Solid state drives are more reliable, they last longer, so we would never see that happen. But it could happen tomorrow. It could happen in 100 years. You don't know. But to assume it's not going to happen is just begging for loss of faith.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where when it happens, if you don't have the backup, it's it's too late. I just was helping somebody who has a 27-inch iMac with 3 terabytes of data on it, and their hard drive failed. And I couldn't get, and they had no backups. Photography from years and years of stuff and no backup. And I couldn't even boot into recovery mode on the iMac. I was finally able to recover the data. I recovered about 2 terabytes of data with very little corrupted data, maybe 2 dozen corrupted files. But other than that, the majority of it came over. But it's a lot of work. It's not worth it. It's easier just to get your Time Machine going, and if you're on a mobile device like a laptop, just get in the habit of plugging it in, once a week or so at the minimum.
And it is. I think I can speak for all of us on here who do support. We would make hundreds of dollars covering data, and maybe not even being successful. It's still time and effort. It's still there. You're going to pay hundreds of dollars, and we would be the ones to receive that money. But we'll be the first to tell you: spend $100, buy an external hard drive, plug it in. When you first plug it in, it says, "Do you want to use this Time Machine backup?" You say yes. Let it format it, and you're done. And that way, you avoid that potential catastrophe. It is the easiest and cheapest way to protect your data.
Hey, this is Ken. One of the things I heard somebody say this morning is that they back up to the iCloud. You don't back anything up to the iCloud. The iCloud makes a copy of what's on your machine. Backup and iCloud, in my opinion, should not be used in the same sentence.
Yeah, what he's referring to is that Time Machine example. I have a backup from an hour ago,
Right.
2 hours ago, a day ago, a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. And I can look at any of those and see the files as they were at that time. iCloud backup is basically just keeping a disaster recovery backup, the most recent files, so that I can get back to this state if I need to.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
use iCloud to talk between my computers. I don't assume that it's doing any backup. I use two backups. I use Time Machine, and I just looked at mine last backed up at 9:39, which is less than an hour ago. And I don't know what cycle it's on, but it looks like it's about once an hour. And I also use Carbon Copy Cloner or whatever it's called. So I had two backups in the Carbon Copy Cloner. I back up and then take it off site so it's not even in the same house as my as all the other stuff. So,
And-
and I use SSDs for that, which makes it quick and less likely to get corrupted. But
and-
the one thing is, if you back up a corrupt file, it's going to be corrupt in the backup.
Here's the thing. If you have information that you feel is valuable, really valuable, $100 to back up is not expensive. Do it. But here's the thing. If that, heaven forbid, is in your house, the house burns down, the backup is there with your computer, your data's not. So having it off-site is helpful. So having like two backups and rotating them in is a real good way to go. That way, and if you plan to do it weekly, take a trip to the bank, put it in the safe deposit box, you basically have a week's worth of data that you can use.
George, before I updated to for my Time Machine, before I updated to the SSD, I had two backup disks. Some people don't realize that you could actually have two, and it just keeps going back and forth, back and forth. So if one fails, it's maybe a day's worth of data, if that.
Yeah, and the reality is that Time Machine can handle multiple, even more than two.
Right.
And what it does is, if one is not plugged in for a while, it's just it knows what the last backup was. When you plug it back in, it knows what files it doesn't have updated.
Right.
It will update those things. And here's the other rule I have: never have all three devices at the same place at the same time. Computer and the two backups. So if you do take one off site, take the new one, the most recent one off site, bring the other one back. Bring the other one back, then you can take all three in the same place at the same time. Well, the odds of something happening are slim, just 10%. So just get in that habit. Because a lot of times people don't do it quickly, and all of a sudden that extra drive is supposed to be in the same deposit box is sitting at home with everything else. You can go the fireproof safe route, but the problem with that is even if it's in a fireproof safe, the heat will still get in there and cause some damage to the drive and make it unreadable. So safety
Yeah,
deposit
another
box-
one, another one
What's
I
that?
use is Backblaze. I just love that, and because I have it back for a number of years, and I can go back and pick out any file I want to. It backs up everything.
And Backblaze and some of the others are cloud-based, so that all your
Yeah.
information is stored off-site. Again, the downside there is recovery is a little more involved because you don't have a bootable drive. So with the Backblaze, you have to basically reinstall that application before you can recover. It adds a little bit to the process. With Apple, you can actually do a Time Machine restore from a machine that doesn't have a operating system. You boot it into the network recovery, or Time Machine, and it will recover everything. That's something you
Because
can't do with
Backblaze doesn't back up Time Machine.
What's that?
Backblaze doesn't back up Time Machine.
Right, but what I'm saying is that Backblaze, if you want to restore your machine with Backblaze, you have to first install the operating system, then install the software, and then we do recovery. So it just adds a layer. So even with something like Backblaze, it's good to have a Time Machine backup locally that you can get access to.
Yeah, but Backblaze, I lost some pictures I had. I know I backed up Backblaze about 4 years ago. I went in there and found them, copied them back to my hard drive. I mean, it was so easy.
And I know Backblaze does this, some of the other ones do. You can request a hard drive be sent to you with your
Yeah.
backup on it, because recovery from the internet will take a lot longer.
Yeah,
especially if you have a long file. So you can request that. I don't know what the fee is on that, but it's definitely worth it if you have to recover everything.
I got a question. I don't know, maybe there is some way to do it, but on mail folders, I've been trying to figure out how to advertise them on the Mac OS, and it keep telling me you can't do it. You have to go in manually and put them in place. Has anybody figured out, or is there anything that can advertise Mac folders in mail, Mac OS folders in mail,
I'm not sure if it, what is it, you advertise?
advertisement order? So when you look at
Oh, alphabet.
mail folders, when you look at the folders, they're all scrambled up, and the latest ones usually at the bottom sometimes, and that I create. And everything I look at, it says, well, you have to go back manually and put them in alphabetical order if that's what you want.
Actually, I think they look different. Hang on.
Some formatting
Yeah.
options.
I think they went to that.
I haven't found it where it says you can advertise it, mail folder, mail folders in on the Mac OS.
Well, we got a heck of a storm going through right now.
Coming at us.
Yeah,
What's
we do
that?
too in Cary.
Coming this
We
way,
got one.
huh?
You got one in Cary too.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
What?
It's coming inland, so, but it'll never get to the mountains, but it's already come through the mountains, I think. I have another question that while George is doing his research there, on a similar topic, years ago, there used to be things called a dead man switch,
Mhm.
such that when you reached a certain point, for information you wanted to protect, or information that you wanted to hide, or information that was necessary for real-time operation, there was a program, I'm thinking back many years, but it was called a dead man. And what it meant was that if this thing was not updated on a predictable periodic basis for a certain period of time, it was deleted. So it was a way to protect information in the event the computer was destroyed, or and in this case, and I'm not trying to be morbid, but just, at 80, 81 years old, I'm thinking about what happens to all of my stuff. Some of it I want to keep, some of it I want to pass on, some of it I don't. And so I'd like to have a way that I could just, set this up and forget it. And have it, when David's gone, he's not around, he didn't hit the keyboard or tap the screen for so many days, he's toast, and we're gonna do this. So does anybody know of an app that does that? Okay.
I know there are services that you can put files up in their cloud storage that if you do, they'll send out an email for verification, and if they don't get a response for a certain period of time, anything that's in that will be sent to the PD phone, send it to you. But I can't say that's the other option.
If you can come up with a name of a site, or a service name, I'd sure appreciate it sometime. It's not eminent.
I did find an option. But it's basically involved in going into the library folder and doing some stuff in there. I'm not sure it's
Yeah, I ain't gonna mess with that.
No.
Yeah,
But see, iOS advertises mail folders, but Mac OS, well, not, and well, Mac OS been around much longer, and for some reason, Apple says, no, we don't need that. Everything I read or searched for last year or so, and it's just crazy. It drives me crazy. I guess I need to eliminate some of my old folders, what I need to do in mail.
well, I know
Is that-
they had the same issue with photo albums. I photoed that. They eventually added that feature that you could sort the albums, but they haven't done that in the mail for some reason. One thing you can do is if you go to Apple's feedback page, go in there and put a request for it. You have to do that. Maybe don't add it in.
David, have you thought of maybe using a shortcut? I've not used it that much, but I wonder if you couldn't trigger something in shortcut. Using the steps in a shortcut to accomplish what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and Terry just posted a chat message with an IRL for a company called deadmanswitch.net. So I'll check
Got
that
it.
out as well. But I agree with you, Kevin, and that would make it an easy thing to remember to do.
Well, you could also have it prompts to request
Sure.
a response.
Thank you for the suggestions.
Yeah, if you didn't, maybe you could set it up that if you didn't respond, maybe it prompts you, like George said, prompts you on your screen, and you have to check that every so often. And if you miss it, then it runs a command or runs whatever to notify somebody or whatever. So that might be a way. I don't know if there's something out there in shortcuts. I know it can do a lot of stuff. So
yeah. Thanks, Kevin.
And there's a lot of libraries on the web of shortcuts that are already made that made you like 90% of what you need, and then you just tweak it for other things.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
And when you figure that all out, David, if you can let us all know what you
Okay. All right.
And
I'll see what I can come up with.
I sort of posted something chat. Was that a question?
Linda was asking about
Linda.
saving this. Yeah. About saving the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like to say things, particularly when there are several references or links. And so the question is, do I have to keep going in to save it, or if I ask it once, will it save the whole thing? Does that make sense?
I believe when you save the chat, it saves it everything up to that point.
Okay, so if I save it right this moment, and then a few minutes down the line, somebody else posts a link, then I have to go in and save it again?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't think it's a toggle. I think it's a command.
Okay. All right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So what I would do is just wait till we're winding down, and then just do it like that and save everything.
Yeah. All right.
George or anybody, where does the recovery partition exist? Is it actually on the hard drive? So in other words, or is it in a different part of the computer?
Well, it's actually on the hard drive,
Yeah.
and then there's
So if
also
you're-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So if your hard drive goes, there's a good chance that your recovery partition is going with it.
Yes. However, you have the net recovery partition.
Right,
no
which
issue.
isn't, okay.
Yeah, my daughter's hard drive on her laptop went, And so I replaced the hard drive, and I knew that the recovery partition would be gone. So I was going to basically target this mode, connect it up to the computer, and you know,
Yeah, or
stuff. And I turned
or
it
you can
on,
use,
and I got the little spinning globe. It automatically, I didn't have to tell it. It automatically went and included the recovery and everything, including installed. That was the first time I realized that it had that option.
and the other option would be to use a bootable startup flash drive or something like that, correct?
Or put the new machine with a new hard drive in target disk mode, or the new shared disk mode.
Okay. So when you actually replace a hard drive with a brand new hard drive, there's nothing on it. So when you install a new operating system, that's when it's putting the recovery partition in place, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And if for some reason you have a drive that has the operating system that does not have a recovery partition on it, there's a utility you download that will create that recovery partition for you.
Okay. Good to know.
Doesn't happen often, but I have seen it.
For those people running with Sonoma, there's an update that just came out.
Yeah. Same with the your phone,
Everything.
iPad, watch, TV. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
There
those who,
were
right.
There were security issues, active vulnerabilities with this last update. So it's probably a good idea to go ahead and update sooner rather than waiting around for it to prompt you.
with both macOS and iOS, turn on the options to automatically install security updates. That way, you don't have a situation where you had an update sitting there you didn't know about.
And where is that setting, George?
In the software update, I believe, computer.
I hadn't seen that one. I'll pull up my phone here and look.
So David, if you go to settings and then general and then software update and then
Right.
automatic updates is on, but if you tap that, you can see you have iOS updates, security response, and system files.
Okay,
You can
I didn't, yeah, I see that now. Thank you.
toggle those all individually.
Right,
On the computer, it is in the App Store. It's in Settings, App Store. And it has automatically check for updates. And then you have the different options. You have download newly available updates in the background. That won't necessarily install it automatically, but that will download it so when you want to install it, you don't have to wait. Install app updates automatically, install macOS updates automatically, install system data files and security updates. The bottom one is a must. The other updates I would recommend as well, but the bottom one is a must.
If you have a newer operating system like Sonoma, you go into settings, general, and then again, automatic updates, click on the I, and then there is your list of check for updates, download, install. You know, there's a checkbox for install security response and system files. So you can individually check all of those.
yep.
Now, this will not take you from a big bunch array. That is an update you have to choose to be. It will take you from point 1 to point 2 of whatever operating system you're on. So it'll keep it up to date, but it will not move to the next version automatically. You have to choose that. And that's important because there are sometimes we're moving to a new version of break an application that you use. Then have to update that application. And so if it did it automatically, it would just cause headaches right now.
How long does that typically? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kevin.
How long does it typically take how long does it typically take for, because I usually I notice that it's posted, you know, and several things that I follow. So I'll do the updates immediately, you know, and get them done. But I don't usually wait until I'm prompted or that it's happening in the background. Does somebody know how long it takes for that to happen?
I have no
I
idea.
think it does have a regular intervals, so it all depends on when it falls within that interval. Then it checks in for new updates. Then it's, you know, it should install them once it finds them, but I don't know if it how often it checks.
I got a question. I haven't been able to solve in dealing with PDFs and Sonoma. I fill out a fillable form on the line and save it to my desktop, and it locks it. I can't enter it, and it says you need a password to enter it. And I called Apple. Apple says it's not locked. And they said the only provider, I contact the owner of the document. They said they did not lock it. So is there a setting in somewhere that locks PDFs when they're downloaded from the internet?
I've had issues with that, Ed, but what I typically do is I download the fillable file first. Then when it's on my hard drive, then I go ahead and fill it in.
Okay,
So
yeah, I tried
that.
that one time and it locked it again. It's just really weird. And it's a fillable form from Marine Corps, from Cherryport Marine Corps Station. We're trying to get a color guard at a conference we're having. And in the past, it was very easy to do. I just downloaded the form, fill it out, send it in. But now it locks it, and the Marine Corps sent the form to them. They said, "Send me the form. Let me see what you're talking about." Send in the form to, well, we don't put passwords on it. And
Ed, can you put a link, Ed, in the chat to where the form is, and I can try downloading it or try filling it and see if it locks on me as well, and then I can be able to determine how to undo that.
Okay.
And are you using Preview for your PDFs or are you using Acrobat?
Yeah, that's a difference. Yeah.
Do what now?
When you go into your PDF, what program does it? Preview or Acrobat?
Yeah, Preview.
Preview, okay.
And I checked all the there's places, a couple places there where it says locked and unlocked. All of them are unlocked.
Yeah, just post a link to the form, and I'll go ahead and go to it and see if I can't see if it does it on my system.
Okay, will do. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, so you're basically with Preview, to put a password on, you need to encrypt the file. So when you save it, there's an option to encrypt. If you check on that, that's where that asks you to put a password in and send it a second to verify it. But without that check, it should not be password protected.
Locked, right? Yeah, and if it's been locked by somebody else, then you won't be able to change any of those settings. But unless they've given you permission to unlock it, or you have the password.
Yeah.
And you did say it's asking for a password, correct? It is asking you for a password when you try to open it.
Go ahead.
Do what now?
It is asking for a password when you try to open it, correct?
After I fill out the form and download it, because you send it to the Marine Corps, I bring it back up and look at it, and it's locked.
When you say it's locked, it says it's password protected. You need the password.
No, it says you need a password to unlock it. It's got a brown. It shows a brown screen.
Because the file can be locked without a password, and that's
Yeah.
you can do that to prevent somebody from accidentally editing something that wants you to have to actually go in there Is it unlocked?
Okay, I put
that-
the link in chat now.
Yes.
George, I'm gonna have to leave. I gotta fix breakfast for a bunch of happy, hangry guests. So I'll have to leave right now. Before I go though, I want to mention a unique thing that our friend, Matt introduced me to. And if you have, for example, a hard drive that you pull from your machine and you want to dispose of it and don't care about ever seeing what's on it again, the most secure way to do that is a 1/4-inch drill. I haven't heard of anybody doing that for many years, but that's
Drill or nail?
just a bridge or a drill or a nail
Drill,
right
nail.
through the
That's what I
right
did.
through the whole package, and nobody can do
There-
anything with it.
There is an article that I read, David, that said there are specific places on certain drives that you should put the nail or the drill, so to ensure. But I'll if I find that I'll let you know, because I've got several drives that I need to do that with, some old drives. So.
That would be entertaining to read, I'm
But-
sure.
And then you
Let's
can
see.
bury them in your backyard. Nobody will ever.
But see, the reality is that it's much more fun to use skeet shooting with it.
2014.
Shoot.
There's none in here. Okay. It's not me.
Yeah, you can use them as skeet shooting.
Bye,
Kevin,
everybody.
Kevin, I just
Bye.
sent you that in chat. I sent you that link.
Okay, great.
Got it.
And Terry's put up a whole bunch of good links today, so everybody ought to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ed, Terry posted a discussion on the Apple forum
I
about
saw
PDF
that.
files that can't be
Yeah.
opened. I started
I was
looking
gonna-
through that, and I didn't see anything that was exactly your situation.
Okay.
But yeah, I haven't gone through the entire thread yet.
No, but they are all referring to Sonoma though. So it must be a
Yes.
glitch somewhere that no one had any real resolution, but at least you're in good company.
Yeah, it's really weird. I think it's something Apple did, and when I talked to her, she escalated it to the supervisor in charge of technical things, and so we went through all the PDF stuff, locking and unlocking files. And she said, "Well, it's not ours; it's the military."
Now, I did
So-
have all of these are referring to people upgrading to Sonoma.
Yeah.
Marguerite had real problems when she did that as well. And I
Right.
wiped the drive and put a clean version of Sonoma from the start. And that
Yeah, well-
fixed a lot of ghost problems.
Well, I've been using them ever since it came out, so for
Yeah.
a couple of years now, or a year. So anyway, we'll see. Game and play around with it. If you figure it out, let me know.
Mhm.
Because
And
the option the Marine Corps told me said go to a Windows PC and open the file, fill it
Open
out, and send it to them from Windows PC. They know it works on a Windows PC.
Yeah.
So Ed, yeah, I just tried filling out the form, and it's coming down as a locked file on my
Right.
system.
Right.
But I've certainly filled out plenty of other things, and it's not an issue.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it's happening with this particular form. Maybe it's how they created the form.
I don't, like I said, I've talked to the Marine Corps, the office that handles the form, and they told me, they said, well, it's nothing we done. The people have used it all the time now. And I don't know. I was looking at it, and it's got the word MIL on. I don't know if that triggers something in Sonoma as a security threat. Who knows?
Well, it's not an MIL file. It's a
Right.
PDF file.
Right, but it's a military
it's
website.
coming right, exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna try to download it. See if I download it before I start filling anything in.
Yeah.
if I download it right off the bat, then I get a form that I can use, and then I can
Right.
fill it in.
Right.
So
Kevin, are you in Sonoma?
yeah,
You might
yeah,
wanna
I'm
try
in
it on-
Sonoma.
If you have a machine that's running something earlier in Sonoma, you might want to try it on that machine as well, see if it, make sure it is a Sonoma.
Yeah, it's working fine if I download it first.
Okay, now,
Um,
now stop and save it, like you're going to close it up and save it, and then try to open it up again. The one you downloaded.
Okay, so I downloaded it. Let me download it again here. Okay, so I've got a downloaded file on my desktop right now.
Okay,
Or
open it up and.
I actually didn't download it. I just clicked the view. So I'm viewing it in preview on my system. And now I'm going to type in a couple of things.
Right.
Guard, and I'm going to save it. And I'm going to save it to my desktop here.
Right.
Hang on a sec. And now when I go back to it, let me hide everything here. There it is. Yeah, it's fine. I can continue to edit it.
Okay,
So
how'd you do it? How'd you do
So
it
when I
now?
came to the website, to the form, okay, the link you sent me, if
Right.
I hover my mouse toward the bottom, I get a little window that pops up, and it gives me, I can zoom out or zoom in, but it also gives me two other options. One is to download and one is to view it in preview. And all I did was click view and preview, which is the
Okay.
icon. Let me do a screenshot here.
You want to share your screen?
So here's let me copy this.
Kevin, you can share your screen if you want.
Okay, I'll show you. Let me do it this way then. I'll share my screen. Let's do, yeah. Let's just try it this way. See if this will work. So let's go to Safari. So are you seeing my Safari window right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I'm at the form that you sent me, and when I hover down by the bottom, I get this little window.
Right.
And I'm clicking on this one, which is to preview it and to
Okay.
basically open it in preview. Okay. When I click on that, it opens up the form in preview. Now I'm in preview. I can come in here and fill it in.
Right.
And then when I save this, I'll just go ahead and save it to my desktop.
Okay.
And when I come over to my desktop and open this file, it opens up. Well, this is the wrong one. That was not the right one. So let's see here. Now it's locking them up.
Yeah. That's what
It
it did for
wasn't the
me.
first time I did it.
Yeah. I know, it's really weird.
Because it hadn't done it before. It wasn't locking them.
Well, yeah, that happened to me the first time I did it. I said, well, great, I'll fill out the form. But I didn't finish it when I was filling it out first and try to save it. So, and also to attach it in email. And
Yeah. So one way to do it, Ed, one workaround right now would be to go ahead and click on this to preview it. Fill out the entire thing, right? And before you close it, print it.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Or,
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Right. Or if like what I do is I would fill a few things in here. Okay. Color guard. Okay. If I move to the next field and I put in, so whatever I put in, if I go ahead and I can either, if I go ahead and choose print, okay, then I can choose to print it as I can try this, but I can also
I tried save as PDF. It does the same thing
from the print window.
From the print window.
Okay, so you could just print it off and then scan it.
Well, that's what I was thinking next.
That would be
I
the
was a little-
workaround, because if
Yeah.
I save this as a PDF on my desktop,
Right,
and let me save this, go over. Now I've got it here and it's not showing locked. So if I double click on it, I'm
Okay.
opened up, but I'm not, that happened before. And when I closed it, so
Right.
now it's wanting to create another copy, even though I just opened this
yeah,
and saved it. It's wanting to create another copy.
right,
So if I do test 2 and save it to my desktop, and I go back to my desktop, my test 2 is locked,
yeah,
but my first one isn't.
yeah.
So I mean, it's really kind of wonky.
Kevin,
Yeah,
Kevin, can you go and get one of those files and go right click and say get info and see if there is a person associated with that file?
Yeah.
Should be all the way at
Let's
the bottom.
see. Permissions, read and write.
So
It
it's
says
not
I can read and write.
no,
okay. I was thinking maybe someone had locked it as being, as owner, and
Yeah.
as you're
Mhm.
doing it,
yeah. Well, I talked to the
that went
office
down,
at the,
but yeah.
at the Marine Corps, and I talked to the guy who handles the forms, and he says he has nothing. He said we don't lock forms
Yeah,
because this is a public form, and
worth a shot.
he said he said other people use it that doesn't have Sonoma, and he said it works perfect on PCs. He said, get your Windows PC and fill out the form and send it to me.
Kevin, is your version of Sonoma an upgrade from Ventura,
Yeah.
or is it okay?
Yeah, it's an upgrade from Ventura. I didn't do a clean install.
Okay.
Yeah, I did too.
Hmm.
Mine
So
is too.
that could be part of the issue, you know. Did you do a clean install and then migrate her stuff over, or did you from a time machine, or did you do a clean install and manually bring things in?
On Marguerite's, when she bought the new Mac Mini, it had Ventura and it automatically upgraded to Sonoma. And that's when she started having problems. I wiped the drive and then used a USB to install a clean version of Sonoma, and that seemed to have fixed a lot of her problems. So I don't
Okay.
know if it's the migration from an older version that's causes the glitch or it's just coincidence.
So I'm opening that original test file that I
Right,
I opened it in preview, or I viewed it in preview from the website, and then I filled some in, and then I saved it as a PDF. And when I did that, when I came back in, it will not fill automatically until I clicked to autofill. So that's kind of weird. So I'll show you again. Whoops. So when I went to this was the one that I started working on originally,
right,
but I can't click in here and add anything more. Okay,
okay,
it's no longer fillable.
right,
So when I first opened it, it asked me if I wanted to fill it, and that's a feature of I believe in Sonoma in preview, that you can take a file that's not fillable and click a box, and it'll put fillable fields in all the places that it thinks you need it. That happened just a moment ago, but it's not giving me an option now, and I don't know if there's a place to do that after the
Is
fact.
anybody using the Adobe software, or are they just using the Apple, the one that's built into Apple?
yeah. Well,
Preview,
that's what the guy said, but when I looked at Adobe software, there's a free version, but the free version allows you to do a lot of things. And then the other version is $30 a month.
Right.
Yeah, but if you go to that free reader,
Yeah,
try downloading the free reader, Adobe Reader, and see if that won't let you work with it better than the preview app. Maybe it's just a
Yeah.
glitch with preview. I have a feeling that they created it with Adobe Acrobat, and then they're posting that, and it's not it's not you know, talking well back
Mhm.
and forth with
Yeah.
preview.
Probably so. Because the
But
office,
try downloading the Adobe Reader as an option as
yeah,
well.
okay, I'll do that. Because
Now-
the, when I talked to the Marine Corps, he said, this form is used nationally, and it's actually created in their Washington DC computing office. And he said, so we access everything through the internet. And he said that's where it's available. And so when you send the form in, it goes to the DC office. The DC office distributes it back to the local facility, which is Cherry Point Marine Station in Havelock. And they said they haven't had any problem with it. And I sent them a form, and he said, I can't open it either.
Well, that
Because he said-
thread that thread that I put in, there's people as late as November of last year using Adobe Pro 17.
Right,
So, and they're saying that they're all upgrading to Sonoma. So even if they're using Pro 17, I'm not even sure that's the current version, but they are
Mm.
trying to use Adobe software to get around it, and that does not
Yeah.
seem to be fixing it. So the
Yeah.
upgrade
Well,
to
that's
Sonoma
right.
seems the only that I see as being the only, constant.
yeah, and like I said, I thought about it, like Kevin said, it's just fill it out, print it, and then scan it back in and see what happens.
Yeah, you can certainly do that, but if you fill it out first when you first get it, before you close it, before you save it, and go ahead and physically print it, that would be your best, your
Yeah.
best bet.
Yeah. Okay, well, I gave everybody a good problem to solve now.
Yeah,
Because like I said, I talked to Apple, and they escalated the problem, and finally that lady came on and says, I'm the supervisor for technical issues with PDFs. And we went through all the steps of unlocking PDFs, and they shared the screen with you, and she looked at it on my computer and just said, let me see what it's doing. She did the same thing, and it locked it. And she said, well, I've done everything I know. She said, I think it's the owner. So I sent the file to the owner, went through the same process again. And they said, well, we don't put passwords on it, so it's got to be Apple. Who knows?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It definitely seems like it's there's a glitch there. I did notice in the feed though, in that thread, that that some people were saying that none of their PDFs were opening, and that's
Yeah.
not your situation. I don't believe.
Yeah.
I'm not having an issue with my PDFs other than
yeah,
this
I'm
one
not either. That's the only one I
instance.
have
Yeah.
issues with.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, well, thanks for your help, everybody.
Sure. If I figure anything out, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Anybody else have a question? Well, I think we'll call it a good meeting. Lots of questions. See everybody next month. Have a
Bye, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.